Hi friends, my name is Mackenzie, also known as M to the Third, and welcome to the M to the Third knitting channel. I have been a little MIA because I got married at the end of August, yay, which was really fun, but man was it a lot of work, and man did it siphon every free minute that I had. But things are kind of settling into fall, into autumn, and now that I don't have this deadline knitting, you know, whether it's for a show or for the wedding or for Rhinebeck, well, that's still happening, but I'm feeling a little bit of like, I'm feeling a little bit of inspiration for fall knitting, and my brain is just churning, and it actually feels really good to feel inspired by yarn, by patterns. So I felt compelled to sit down and kind of share with you what I've been thinking about, what I've been very eager to cast on, and to hear from you. So yeah, tell me what you're planning on making this fall. I want to hear about it. So first and foremost, I have just very gratefully, I have an amazing in-person knitting community. Because I work at a store, that's sort of like the hub. Like, I've met a lot of people through that, but now I also have a book club that I see almost weekly, and that we do like read a book together every couple of months. I have friends through camp, knitting camp, which I help host. That's also through the store, and that's like another group of knitting friends. So my knitting community has been feeling very abundant lately. And one of the first things that I was able to do post-wedding was go to a yarn swap. So basically how this worked out was it was coordinated through my book club. One of the members was like, hey, I have a bunch of yarn and fiber and fabric that I'm ready to just get rid of. What if we turn it into a swap? And I took this opportunity, even though it was a big project and everything in my house feels chaotic. I was like, this is such a good landing pad, a relatively small project in the grand scheme of things, to go through my yarn, get rid of stuff, and then maybe bring in a couple new things that I feel really inspired to do something with. So I did a little TikTok/reel about what I ended up bringing home from that haul, and it was mostly fiber. I brought 4 big bags of yarn, and the other thing is that I have participated in yarn swaps about once a year for the last few years, definitely once a year since I moved to Portland, and a couple of times before that. And every time I go, there will be things that were in my stash that I had looked at the previous year and wasn't ready to let go of, and then, the following year I'm like, nope, I haven't touched it, I don't have any plans for it, please. So I was feeling that way. I was definitely feeling we just have a lot of stuff here at the house, especially post-wedding, that we're dealing with. We're coming up with some new storage solutions in the basement, and my office had become kind of a catch-all for a lot of stuff. So I went through a cubby at a time on my yarn shelf, in some bins that I have other bits and bobs. And not only did I get rid of a bunch of stuff, but I also organized my stash. And I didn't put it into Ravelry. I didn't basically what I did was I visually put stuff on my shelves, and then I separated little sock mini, sock, not minis, but sock leftovers into color coordinated little Ziploc bags. And I do have a lot of yarn. I've been working in yarn stores and dyeing yarn for a long time. So I do have a lot of yarn, but after getting rid of a bunch of that stuff, I felt very like a breath of relief a little bit, because it's not really in boxes where I can't see it anymore. I feel like it's very manageable, reasonable. It's feeling good. And yeah, so the things that I brought back were mostly fiber, and I brought like just a couple skeins of yarn that like kind of caught my eye from brands that I liked, and it felt very good to just goodbye. And then when I got back from knit camp, I did end up going to a local yarn store that's not the one that I work at, because I was looking for a particular yarn and buying yarn for a new project. So that was kind of fun. Like, I haven't done that in a long time. And it was nice to go in person and feel inspired by being just like in a different environment. So there has been a lot of yarn out, a little bit of yarn in, and I've just been like thinking about what I'm excited to cast on. Yeah. First things first, I am still slogging along on my bucket list project. I'm very close to getting to the shoulder shaping. Like it's imminent. So I will be doing that shortly. I'm excited about this project. I sort of wish that I didn't feel so much pressure, but then at the same time, I might not get it done if I didn't feel the pressure. So this has been, yeah, just like a work in progress. Rhinebeck is officially like 3 weeks away, which feels crazy. So yeah, hopefully gonna get this done by then. So that's kind of why I haven't cast anything on yet, because I know I have to finish this, okay? And I will, okay? Chill. But yeah, I'm very eager to like just start something new, start something different. So without further ado, here are my like my dream fall knitting plans, color palettes, patterns, whatever, that I'm excited to share with you. So let's start with some accessories. I will say that my wish list is very garment heavy, which is probably not realistic. Let's be real. But there are some accessories that I'm very eager to knit, and that's actually what I went shopping for yarn for. So it's another cold season, and I can tell you from working at the store that hoods and balaclavas and bonnets are not going anywhere. It's going to be another year that is bonnet heavy, and I'm here for it. I did not knit one for myself last year despite really wanting to. I even bought yarn at Rhinebeck that I anticipated making like maybe a hat and mitt set. However, the hood that I have decided to knit is in Aran weight, and I don't have a lot of Aran weight, and I have a specific color that I really want this to be in. So at the store we have a sample for the Jose hood. I'm assuming it said that way because as a Mexican American, I want to say the Jose hood, but I don't think it's the Jose hood. I think it's the Jose hood. And it's very cool because first of all, it's garter, which we love a garter moment. Second of all, there's like this very cute I-cord bow. So it like starts at the top and you knit this like garter rectangle, and then you pick up the sides and start filling out the hood. And then you start doing increases. So you have these really long like tendrils that end in I-cord. And what I like about it is that it sort of can just work as like a big smooshy cowl scarf, but then you have the option to like pull up the hood. You know, I live in the Pacific Northwest. I'm here in Portland, Oregon, and for as much as people believe that it's just raining all the time, what we really have is more of like a drizzle during like, you know, basically almost half of the year. Once it starts getting cold, we just get like, it's just wet, but not like a downpour. And a lot of times when it's wet like that, I really like to just wear like a wool hat or something wool just to like keep my hair from being like damp. So I think this is like a really good option. I have this like, I have a couple coats and I just want to like have this little hood. And I really wanted it to be in like a Kelly green, and I went to a local yarn store here in Portland. It's actually probably the closest one to me distance wise, called Close Knit. And I just went and I thought I was going to go with a Rosa Pomar yarn, some of the like Portuguese wool, but this color really caught me. So this is Moda by Wool Dreamers, and it's perfectly rusticy. There's like a little bit of heathering in it, and it was just really this color. The color in the Rosa Pomar that I was looking at, Beroa, was like a little more like foresty green, and I wanted more of a Kelly green. Like this green has like quite a lot of blue undertones as opposed to like a green undertone, and I'm really here for it. So this is gonna be like my hood. And actually the coat that I am imagining wearing it is in this same fabric as my dress, so like those together, obsessed. So I think honestly this is gonna be something that I cast on pretty soon and will be like my work in progress, along with a pair of socks to come with me to Rhinebeck. So that's kind of where we're at, and I'm obsessed with this yarn. Can't wait to use it. Second, I talked about wanting like a little pair of mitts, and there's just like, you know, I'm looking at just like a little ribbed fingerless mitt pattern that maybe goes up kind of far. Again, to wear kind of like under, I have like this cotton loose coat that's a good layer for me. It actually is not it's not super warm, which is a plus for me because I tend to run warm. But I can put that under, like if I'm just wearing a t-shirt, I can put my coat on and then put the little sleeve, like arm warmers on, and I think that will be perfect for dog walks like in the morning. So I have a couple of options of yarn for that. One is some Issayer yarn that I picked up at the yarn swap, and the second is the yarn that I was initially planning on using for the hood from Sawkill Farm. I know I've had people comment and be like, every time people have mentioned them, I thought it was Sock Hill, but it's actually Saw, S-A-W, Kill, Sawkill Farms. Anyway, let me grab those so I can show you the options. So I have two of these beautiful like greens, and then two of this kind of, this is a 50-gram ball though, of this like really pretty like pink coral. So I could either go towards like matching or kind of a contrast. I'll have to think about this. However, I had an idea for this that I will talk about a little bit later, and maybe you can help me decide, ideate a little bit. And last but not least, I really want to make Maple, my little pup, a new sweater for this season. And this was actually more of an inspiration from the yarn. I bought a palette of yarn from Tumalo Fiber, who is a Oregon dyer and a friend of mine, Tatiana, at Yarn Crawl, like not last year, but the year before. And it's like all these like tweeds, and I really wanted to do them like in like maybe like a granny square sweater for myself, but I started working on it and I wasn't happy with how it was turning out. So I frogged, but I still have these like pretty colors that I would love to do something with. So I thought I could make Maple a little stripy sweater. I think it would coordinate very well with her fur. Let me show you the colors. Isn't that a pretty palette? So I thought, like, I have the most of the brown, so I thought I could do like a ribbing in the brown and then stripe all of the other colors, and I think it would look very cute on her. I also do recognize that like this might be an unusual palette, but it's also basically exactly the palette of my bucket list. And if you look at all the yarn I pulled aside to talk about, they also are very much in the same color family. I guess that's my color story for right now. I mean, all the time, but like that feels like a very autumnal color story for me personally. And I'm not mad about it, clearly. So I've always sort of wung it when I'm making maple sweaters, I just kind of measure her. However, something that has happened consistently is I will cast on, start knitting, it fits her great, and then after she wears it, the neck gets a little loose. So I think what I'm going to do this time is measure her neck, cast on for that amount, and then at the end I'll go and pick up stitches and add some ribbing that way so that it sort of keeps the neck cinched in a little bit. But typically I add some short rows here for her like chest, leave some holes for her little arms, and then sort of do like short row shaping so that it covers her back but isn't under her belly. And that's worked very well. I, again, am a lot of the time just kind of winging it. But I've also in the past incorporated some reflective thread so that she's very low to the ground and she's black, so at night she can be hard to see, so it's kind of nice. Maybe like just one color of the stripe, I'll add some reflective thread just to be a little extra safe. So yeah, those are all my like accessory, like little project ideas. But within that, I also have socks. I love wearing hand knit socks. I love knitting hand knit socks, and I've had a couple ongoing projects, but I recently got a new colorway from Nomadic Yarns. If you're not familiar with Nomadic Yarns, I talk about her a lot because I love her. She does self-striping colorways, and she just did a new colorway that is called Nose in a Book. And I got a little 50-gram skein to make myself a pair of socks. Again, it very much matches the color palette that I've been eyeing, but like, oh, it's so pretty. And this might be my pick up and knit easy project to take to Rhinebeck. So yeah, I'm totally obsessed with this colorway, and yeah. I also have this skein of hand spun that I finished last year. It's supposed to be like a self-striping bat set from Artifacts of Appreciation, and this has also been sort of like burning a hole in my heart. Like, please knit me, please. So this is also something that I would really like to knit up before the end of the year, even if it's not for fall. Okay, lastly, in terms of sock patterns that have been inspired me and not just like yarn that I'm like, please be on my feet. Kelborn just released this pattern called the Thulite socks, and it is these like colorwork scrappy socks that I am just like obsessed with. Like, that was actually, I think, the first thing that brought my knitting mojo back. It was like, please let me cast on. They're using their Perennial Minis, which is a yarn that I really love knitting socks with. That yarn has a little bit of alpaca in it. It has their superwash merino, some nylon, and then alpaca. And so it's very soft, it's very silky, so it's, you know, it's, it like slides. It's not a Jamison's yarn for sure. It does work in color work, and it does work in socks, but I find the socks that I've knit with it, I'm trying to like describe, it's almost like it gets really fuzzy, like the alpaca just kind of pills, but they're like really long strands that pill. I don't know if I'm doing it justice. Like, it does work for socks. I wouldn't, again, use it in a heel. I would just use it in color work. So I have some of that I could definitely incorporate, but in general, I think it would be an excellent scrap sock pattern. And I've just been drooling over them since they announced it, which I think was like just a little over a week ago. Obsessed. I also really want to make some kind of sock where there's just like a cuff colorwork motif of like a quilt block. Sawtooth stars remain very popular in knitting motifs, and there are a couple patterns floating around that have that motif sort of just like as a cuff moment, and I think that would be really fun to do. So that's in my noggin for, you know, whenever I cast on my next pair. And now for the fun part. Maybe the moment we've all been waiting for. I don't know. Garments. So the garment I saw on basically the same day that I saw the Thulite socks is called the facet sweater. So the actual pattern photos, like, don't get me wrong, they're beautiful, but I saw a tester's version of the sweater where they used like 6 or 8 different contrast colors, and then like the base was a white, and I was just like gagged. It's beautiful, and I want to wear that. I want to wear it. I want to knit it. It looks really fun. It's absolutely in fingering weight, all over color work, and I'm obsessed. So earlier I was talking about this beautiful skein from Sawkill Farm, and in my little noggin, I was thinking that I could get like 5 skeins in different colors and then do this facet sweater in colors from Sawkill, because they have a really beautiful palette. I think I even have video from like being in their booth last year. I'll see if I can find it. And I think this would be an excellent yarn to use there. Now, the base yarn, I definitely can find something else to use. In fact, I was thinking about Woolstock Light. Woolstock from Blue Sky Fibers has this amazing color called Driftwood. Ooh, I have some. One of my favorite neutrals is a warm gray that's almost more like, I just don't feel taupe does it justice personally. But this is in the Woolstock Worsted. Now, if I was using this, I would probably use the Woolstock Light, which is a single, which would be an interesting, I think it would be fine if it was in color work. I guess my concern in using a single, especially in a yarn that's so soft, would be that it would like pill a ton or maybe even get a hole. But I think if it was held double in color work with a series of colors from Sawkill, I think it would be fine. I just need like 1 skein for each of these. You just dreamily sigh. Yeah, so I'm thinking about that. That might be my like post Rhinebeck cast on. What do we think? So that sweater has been heavy on the mind. And then when I went to the local yarn store Close Knit to buy the green for the hood, I was looking at the Rosa Pomar, the it's like Beroa. I don't know how to speak Portuguese. Beroa. It might be that. Anyway. And I saw this color and I love it. It's this really great mauvey purple lavender, but there's also like the natural sheet. It's a real rustic yarn, okay? And I just think it's really gorgeous. And I was like, I wasn't gonna pick this up, but I picked these up and I was like, I don't want this for my hood, but I could totally see this as like a little vest. Now there's a lot of options for vests. There is a Rosa Pomar sweater called the Pelica, and I thought that I saw that other people had made it in this yarn, even though it calls for some of their other kind of worsted weight yarns, and it looked really cute. Again, garter stitch, I-cord, pretty simple with buttons down the front, and I thought that was really gorgeous. And I'm really craving a vest. I don't know that I'm craving a buttoned vest, even though I really do like the pattern. The other options are like slipovers, which have been on my mind and list to make for a while. There's a couple that I have like in my queue. One is, okay, the Eulina vest, and then the other one is the Primrose slipover. I believe that I have the pattern for the Primrose. However, it's a DK weight, so this would be a little heavy for it. And I have some yarn that I've been stashing with that project in mind. So I don't know. I want to slip over. I think it would be a pretty quick knit, all things considered, like definitely quicker than a fingering weight all over color work full length sweater. But it still would probably take me about a month to knit it. So that is really also kind of percolating in my mind as an option. I think it would just look really cute over a dress. I think it would look really cute with some linen pants and like a t-shirt, just like some interest, another layer. And then like less in the immediacy of casting on, I am still wanting to make a cardigan with a collar. It's becoming, like, I know that it's been trendy. That's been trendy. But I definitely am seeing more designers coming out with sweater patterns that have collars. So that gives me a little bit more to work with. The one that has been at the forefront of my mind is one that was in an issue of Lina. So that I will post a photo of that here. I just think it would be more interesting to knit than just stockinette because there's like some texture and some, it looks like a little bit of lace detail, a little bit of cabling detail. So that's definitely been, I've definitely talked about it before here. And I have some like cream yarn, but I would really have to swatch with it to see if it would work for the pattern. And then if it doesn't, then I need to kind of go back to square one. Last but not least, another one that's been like on my queue for a long time is just this all over cabled cardigan called the August Cardi. Tim even gave me some yarn for that one. I think that I will probably knit it one day. It's interesting, the like desire to have something to just be knitting on casually, and then the longer term like planning of like a wardrobe staple. And I feel like I have been very disciplined in my knitting because I've had so many deadlines. Like I'm like very monogamously working on my bucket list to get it done for Rhinebeck. And like, I kind of just need some space to play. So that's kind of what I was like chatting with Tim about it, of course. And I was like, yeah, it's like really, this is going to be an amazing project. I'm very excited to wear it. It is like a bucket list project because it felt almost insurmountable just with the way that it's knit, the cabling, which I don't normally do. And yet I like really just want to see something on the Ravelry like hot right now and to just cast it on. I want to just like swatch for something and like just kind of play. So I'm feeling that desire come back to me, and that feels actually really nice. So I'm leaning into that a little bit. So I think I probably will do myself a favor and cast something fun on. So we'll see. We'll see what I decide to do. I also wanted to talk a little bit about reading because I was also in a reading slump during like wedding planning chaos, and I've read like 3 books, and it hasn't even been like a month since the wedding happened. And I'm like really in a fall cozy reading mood, so I thought I'd share with you what I'm planning to read, what I just finished, and so on and so forth. So the first book that I read out of my slump, which was perfect, is called A Dark and Secret Magic. I wanted a witchy book. I wanted a kind of there are stakes, but we know everything's gonna work out in the end. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a romance book, but like that's not the main thing that's going on. And I really enjoyed this book. Very Halloween vibes, very fall vibes, very like kitchen witch vibes. Yeah, it was great. And the romantasy was not too heavy-handed. Sometimes I want that, sometimes I do not. Wasn't in the mood, and this delivered. So, yeah, I enjoyed this one. And then I went right into a heavy fantasy duology. This is called the Shepherd King series. One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. And I just read them back to back. And I have to say, when I started it, I think I was just like in a book hangover from the Dark and Secret Magic, because I just loved it so much and I was just like really immersed in the world, and I just like was finding it hard to get immersed into this world. And so I was sort of like, I don't know, maybe I should DNF it, but I like was like, I'm gonna stick with it. And then probably like, I know it took a while, but 3/4 of the way through the book, I was like, wait, I'm enjoying this a lot. The first book ended on not quite a cliffhanger, but definitely you were like, okay, I need more. And then luckily the second book is out, so I just went right into that. It did resolve nicely, which, you know, sometimes I'm very okay, because I read a lot of thrillers and horror that are just like, you're like, ugh, at the end. And there is something to be said about like a romantasy where you're like, everything is so nice, whatever. But it took a while to get there. But I really enjoyed it. It's in this world where magic is being policed, I would say, by a monarchy. And then of course, as you go on, you realize it's way more nuanced. There's a lot of players. The magic was being used in a way that I hadn't seen in a lot of other books, and I did end up enjoying it, and would recommend it if you want a little fantasy world to kind of delve into, and it's like a very satisfying end to the series. So that was very good. And now my book club is about to read a book that I saw at Barnes & Noble and cracked me up. I was like, oh my god, I have to send this to my book club, and then it turned into the book. It is called 3 Bags Full, and it is a group of anthropomorphic sheep who work together to solve the murder of their beloved shepherd, George, which just, I was like, are you kidding me? This sounds amazing. So apparently it's a book that came out like 20 years ago, but has like recently been translated, and it's about to turn into a movie starring Emma Thompson, which I was like, is she a sheep? Like, I don't know if she's a sheep or if it's her. So that will be fun. I just got the audiobook for that, so I'm excited to delve into that, you know, cozy mystery, perfect, also like fall knitting vibes. And then I am reading before bed The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. And this is so low stakes, so romance. I'm enjoying it. I think in the beginning it says, oh, if you ever wished you lived in Stars Hollow, or that Luke and Lorelai would just get together already, then this book is for you. And I was like, you know what? I fuck with that. So I'm in this. I think I got this last year around Christmas time. I feel like my dad got it for me, which is very sweet. So yeah, reading that, enjoying that before bed. Kay and I are trying to get off our phones before going to sleep. It's a hard habit to break. And so we're sort of like plugging our phones in another room, and then I'm reading and they are working on a crossword for, you know, just like 15-20 minutes before we go to bed, and it's been very cute and cozy and nice. So that is a routine that I am really cherishing and enjoying right now. And then Kay and I exchange boo baskets every year. This is the 3rd year we did it, and they always include a thriller, mystery, spooky book in my basket. And you know, they asked me for authors that I really like, and so I told them Riley Sager. I have now read 3 of Riley Sager's books, and I really enjoy them. I really loved The Only One Left, and I read I think it's called The Lake House, but I think that might be another book, but it's about someone on a lake. and I liked both of those. And then after I finished them, I like called my dad and I was like, you have to read these thrillers, like a new author, and he also really enjoyed them, so that's been fun. So this one, I don't know anything about it. I don't know if I will like it, but yeah, here we are. Riley Sager, so that's next on my little to read list. I am absolutely like a mood reader. Like I find it hard to get into a book if it's not the right vibe for the moment. And sometimes it's hard to determine what the moment is. So I'm glad that I've had a couple of wins recently. I've actually had I haven't read a lot of books this year. Usually I read 30, well, actually, I think I've read 40 the last couple of years. And this year I think I'm only at like 17, in part just because life has been very crazy. There's been a lot going on, but, I've had a lot of like really good books, that I've read and like really enjoyed and have like been on my mind. In particular, Julia Armfield is like, I will forever read any book that she puts out. I loved both of the books of hers that I read this year. I also read Piranesi, and all three, like both Julia Armfield books and Piranesi, which was by Susanna Clarke and is also just like a wonderful world to be in, and I enjoyed it so much. There's a lot of themes of water in all three of those books, so I found that really interesting. I feel like I have talked a lot about ebbs and flows, of creativity, of interest. I'm sort of talking about it in terms of like being inspired with knitting and then going through kind of ruts and then just like letting it, build, I guess, as I'm feeling the creativity like come back to me. And so I feel like these themes of water just feel very, I don't know, important to think about and listen to. So yeah, there's the woo section for y'all. Yeah. So that's kind of what's been going on with me. What I've been thinking about lately. I hope that this gives you a little bit of inspiration. I hope it was nice to like check in with me. I do want to mention that I have memberships available on this channel and a members only video once a month. That should be coming up soon, but there's like a little bit of a backlog, so you can sign up at any point. There is a new episode of Sibling Energy coming out next week, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, let me know what you're knitting. Let me know how your fall is starting off. And I missed you all, and I'm really happy to be back. And you'll be seeing more from me now that the wedding is over. And yeah. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.